couple of years ago, I saw a trailer at E3 for a game voice acted by James McAvoy, Willem Dafoe, and Daisy Ridley, three top tier actors, and it looked incredibly unique and really fun. It finally came out. So, we're checking it out. This is 12 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 12 minutes. Let me set the scene for you, shall I? That's how I'd usually like to start our side quests, so you understand what we're going to be looking at. We are going to be playing a man returning from a hard day's work and going home to our beautiful wife in our simple little apartment in order to enjoy some dinner. That's pretty much it. Now, as you can imagine from the title of 12 minutes, this is yet another time loop game. There's been a theme of these recently. We've played probably 3 of them in the last 2 weeks that are focused on the idea of the time loop. Now, this one has been in development for a long time, and as you can imagine, it has absolutely stellar voice acting. We do have James McAvoy, we do have Willem Dafoe, we do have Daisy Ridley. So, with all time loop games that we played recently, it's really going to be about the characters and the story, and hopefully the gameplay making work there. So, let's jump into the game, shall we, right now. Let's return home as the clock starts ticking. Okay, so here we are in our apartment. Now, the entire game is going to take place in this apartment. I have finished the game, at least one of the several endings this game has, and it entirely takes place in here. Now, as you can imagine, the game revolves around a very simple idea. It's what can we get up to in 12 minutes? So let's see our lovely wife here. We just returned home.
I didn't hear you come in.
Best night ever. Guess?
Who made dessert? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Thanks. That sounds great. In a sec.
Okay. Rude.
A little rude. So the context for our character right now is I've done one loop to I'm kind of trying to avoid spoilers. Very difficult in this game, but I think we can have a compromise. I've started a fresh run of the game after finishing it, so anything you see right now isn't really going to be much of any way of a spoiler. This story is really intricate and it's dark. So let's go over the gameplay a little bit so you can see what's going on. We can explore our small apartment. We can close doors. We can move around inside here. If we head inside the bathroom, you can see we've got a small bathroom. We can go into the shower. We can investigate the toilet. We can investigate the medicine cabinet. And the whole premise is, what can we get up to in 12 minutes? And as it turns out, quite a lot. We can get up to a hell of a lot of stuff in 12 minutes. And what we can actually do is understand that every time the day resets, or the 12 minutes resets, the actions, certainly of our wife, are going to be set in stone. So you can see our wife just got a drink there. So your brain should be thinking, what if there were no mugs? What would she do then? Right? She's made us a special dinner for a special event. Well, what if we took away the spoons? What if we took away part of things? What if we took away the knife? And that's then going to start altering what happens in the story. Right? So we need to discover this deep and intricate story, which is... The story is fantastic. Now, you would expect that. You would expect a very deeply woven story, especially with these caliber of voice actors, and it is delivered tremendously. It truly, truly is. Now, without getting too spoilerific, is the game good? It's okay. It's okay. The animations are a little jank. You can see turning around feels a little stunted. You'll see characters often clip and move around. Like, the angle itself I actually found very usable. Although it's strange to have this top-down angle for everything that's going on, it actually makes total sense and works really well when you're playing the game. If you remember, going to some negatives right now, you remember Forgotten City? And one of the things I praised that game for was that if you discovered a major piece of information, at the very start of each loop, you could deal with maybe 20 minutes of gameplay with a single click. They put in a guy who you could say, hey, I really need you to go and take care of this. And you could break it down very simply. And that guy would go and take care of a big portion of the game, especially if you're looking to alter something down the timeline. Which is super important because, of course, the game is about changing what happens in this 12-minute period in order to affect different outcomes.
Hey, I finally remembered to put
This game does have that a little bit, so I can show you now. If we sit down and we want to talk to our wife, we could tell her this feels like the same day. Now you can see I can actually fast forward the dialogue. However, I have to do it on a sentence by sentence basis. So I can say X and Y is happening.
I haven't, but
And if I have this conversation again with my wife, because every time the 12 minutes resets, she will, of course, completely forget. I retain the knowledge, but she's totally forgotten everything we talk about. So we can skip through it very quickly. So we can say, is there a reason for such a special evening? Tell us a good time for dessert.
Great. Just
And we can kind of fast forward through her talking. Now, that seems pretty good, doesn't it? And this game does have the functionality that when we discover major parts of this story, that we will be able to exposition dump her, and then we'll be able to fast forward it. That's not always the case, though. Especially once we get to the latter half of the game, where we really want to maybe change one thing. Because the whole premise of the game is, what happens if I change this thing? And it gets very, very intricate when we do that. So once we get to that point, we might want to try something at minute 8. And getting there can start to feel a little tedious towards the end. That's a real shame. It can start to get a little tedious. So an event's about to happen
yeah, I'll finish.
that's going to sort of initiate things. The door is going to go. The police are here. Let's play this out so you can see.
I'm with the police. Turn around, please.
what? Me?
Our friend
Yes,
Mr. Willem
you.
Dafoe is
Hands
here.
behind your back. Let's go. Hold still.
Oh my! Hey, you're hurting me.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Now you. Hands behind
What
your
is
back,
going on?
please. Don't move.
Help me. Will you come help me?
on, don't.
My wrists. I don't. This is a mistake. Babe, will you tell him? This is a misunderstanding.
You're under arrest for your father's murder 8 years ago.
Hmm.
No. That can't be right.
Shut up. You know what this is. Now, where's your father's watch?
My father? Please, you must be thinking of someone else.
No playing dumb. Tell me where the watch is.
I'm not lying. Please don't hurt us. Honey, tell
Okay.
him.
He
So I'm going to let this carry on now. We could try and intervene, but nothing we could say. We're innocent.
I didn't do anything.
I don't know.
We can throw our wife under the bus and say, hey, I had nothing to do with this whatsoever. And again, we can fast forward through this. So, unless we manage to affect this, so we could try and affect this in different ways, we could try locking the door, so the police officer can't get in. Now, we're about to be choked to death. And once we die, as you can probably imagine... Get it, Willem. Straggle me down. The day resets. Now, you can clearly see that did not last 12 minutes. No, that generally happens around 4 or 5 minutes. And we obviously have 12 minutes to play with. So now your brain should hopefully engage with, how do we change that? Right? How do we change that thing? So we can lock the door. We could try telling our wife about it. Right? We could try saying, hey, look, this police officer's going to come and he's going to, like, tie you up and do all that. And then we're going to need to convince that the day's repeating and do X and Y and Z. And this is going to play out. Now, as I said, it does have some faults because as we get deeper and deeper, the story is fantastic. It's really good. It's not the kind of spiraling butterfly effect you would really want to see from a game like this. Not like it's been done in Until Dawn. And, of course, The Forgotten City, which has dramatic outcomes. And even many other time loop games that have been made in the last probably 6 or 7 months that have come out. The endings are relatively similar for the most part in terms of how you get there, and that's where it kind of gets a little tedious towards the end. It's also extremely short. Way shorter than I was hoping. My playthrough was about 4 hours to finish one of the endings. There's about 5 endings. I did have the stream with me, which means there's a lot of people throwing out ideas about what we could change. And sure, that does help, unquestionably. So what we also did was we had another member of the team play it completely blind. Took him 4.5 hours to finish the game, which is a little disappointing for the price tag compared to what else is on offer right now. Not that I don't recommend it, because you are going to get to see a wonderful narrative played out by great voice actors and a very dark story. Like, the story of what's going on in this game is very heavy, very dark, and kind of very emotionally investing. It just has that little bit of problem that a lot of time loop games have, where it can get a little frustrating towards the end because you might want to change something at minute 9, minute 10, which means you have to set up a whole bunch of stuff, then play through it, and then you might make a mistake. That happens in this game. Timing is very, very important in order to make things happen. And so it's a case of it's a little letdown. I don't want to nitpick it too hard, but it can get a little frustrating towards the end, and I just don't think it's quite long enough. I don't mind being in the one room for the entire playthrough. However, if you want to do multiple endings, you're going to be reliving a lot of the same things. What I can tell you is this is my second run through, and so far I know nearly everything that's going to happen, and while I can speed it up, there's not going to be much revelation, because all my gameplay here now is to affect the ending, which I could probably do very, very quickly. So how much longevity you get out of the game, I'm not quite sure. Well, what's my conclusion then? My conclusion is this is decent. It's a really good story. You're certainly paying for the voice actors, though. The gameplay is a little stunted. The animations aren't great. You're paying to have Willem Dafoe and James McAvoy and Daisy Ridley playing out a very good story. And it is a very good story. How much replayability there is? There's some, but you're going to start getting a little frustrated and you're going to be spamming the speed up button. Show you an example here is when we talk to the wife again, we can now tell her about the cop. That's a piece of extra information. The day's restarting, question her about the past because we found out there was a murder. Or we can go back through the desert and things like that. Now, these are all cool the first time through. Three and a half hours in, you're still going to have to kind of get this information out to your wife. And like I say, it does consolidate some of it, but not all of it. And you're still going to have to actually do the dialogue, right? Where you're going to have to say, okay,
Great.
go, 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 go. And it feels like you're spamming the left mouse button in order to get through that dialogue so she'll get going. All right, guys. So there is 12 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. There you go, guys. It is so dark, like painfully dark, woefully dark, but it's really fun. It is an interesting journey and twists and turns the whole way to keep you guessing and keep wondering, what am I even doing? Where are we going with this? And how can this be something that I have to deal with? And sometimes just clicking one of those dialogue options is so painful. So painful. It really is. Anyway, we've got a good look at some games coming. A blast from the past, actually. Some old schoolers, just like myself, might remember King's Bounty. And we're going to be able to look at King's Bounty a little bit early, which is exactly what we're looking for. So stay tuned for that coming up in the next couple of days. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you again. Maybe in 12 minutes. Probably not, though. Bye.